Welcome back, guys. We're done with E. histolytica, and of course, we have the commensal amoebae. Now, let's proceed or continue with the rest of our amoebas. So next, we have the free-living pathogenic amoebae. Now, we only have two species of our free-living pathogenic amoebae, and these are the Acanthamoeba species, and we have the Naegleria species. Now, let's take a look at each of these different species of our free-living pathogenic amoebae. So first, we go to Acanthamoeba species. Now, Acanthamoeba are small, free-living amoeba with two developmental stages. Now, the same with the rest of our amoebae. So we have an active, a trophozoite stage. And of course, we have a dormant cyst stage. Now, this trophozoite stage is, of course, active siya because it is the motile stage, and at the same time feed on gram-negative bacteria, blue-green algae, or yeast. So you may have noticed that the trophozoites of Acanthamoeba species feed on microorganisms, specifically gram-negative bacteria. So we call this the bacterial endosymbionts of Acanthamoeba species. Now, actually, the significance of this bacterial endosymbiont is not yet known at present. But so most likely because you will notice it later on as we go along with our discussion, some of these bacteria actually are pathogenic also in nature. So we can just assume, so we can infer that most likely Acanthamoeba species, may bring actually pathogenic microorganisms, with them as they infect humans also. Remember that these different species of our free-living pathogenic amoebae also are responsible for certain conditions in humans. Now, of course, the trophozoite of our Acanthamoeba species reproduce by binary fission. And when the environment becomes unfavorable, of course, for the trophozoites, they insist, di ba? And become, of course, cysts. So we have that dormant cyst stage of our Acanthamoeba species. Now, Acanthamoeba are ubiquitous in nature. So meaning to say they are found almost anywhere, specifically in air, aquaria, bottled mineral water, soil, swimming pools, deep well water, contact lens cleaning solution, and others. So na-notice ninyo that we have here contact lens cleaning solution, and you will find out later on that one of the conditions associated with the Acanthamoeba species is keratitis, no? Okay. Now, let's describe the trophozoites of Acanthamoeba species. So for the trophozoites, now we have a single large nucleus with centrally located densely staining nucleolus or our karyosome. We have a large endosome inside and a finely granulated cytoplasm. At the same time, we have large contractile vacuoles. So all this can be found inside, of course, the trophozoites. Now, trophozoites also exhibit small spiny filaments. So we are talking of this mode of locomotion for our trophozoites. So we call this locomotory organelle acanthopodia. So we have that spiny filament. So later on, I will show you that characteristic spiny filaments, which are modes of locomotion for our trophozoites of the Acanthamoeba species. Now, Acanthamoeba, as to movement, the trophozoite actually moves, trophozoites move sluggishly and unidirectional. So polydirectional ang movement, and we have Philippine isolates, for this Acanthamoeba species, which is similar to the Nagasaki isolate in Japan. So similar, morphologically. So here, guys, we have that electron micrograph of Acanthamoeba trophozoites showing now the spiny filaments, which are locomotory organelles for our Acanthamoeba trophozoites or Acanthamoeba species. So we call this acanthopodia. Okay, so this is another no electron micrograph of our Acanthamoeba species, no, in which no the organism is engulfing something. So may gina-engulf siya. So this is some sort of a food actually no for our Acanthamoeba. Now, what about the cyst? Now, for Acanthamoeba species, cysts are double-walled. So, duwa ka wall, no? Displaying an outer wrinkled wall and an inner polygonally shaped na wall. So, we have an outer wall and an inner wall. And these walls, nag-contain sila sang pores. We call these pores ostules, which are located at the point of contact between the two walls. So my pores, no, at the point of contact between the two walls of the cyst. So this is characteristic of Acanthamoeba species. Now we can isolate, no, and or culture Acanthamoeba species using PYGC medium. So what is PYGC? So PYGC stands for fructose, peptone, yeast, extract, glucose, and cysteine. So these are the components, of course, now of the medium. And of course, we have antibiotics. That is to inhibit, of course, bacterial contaminating flora. So here we have cyst, and at the same time, so you have that double-walled cyst, and you have trophozoite, no, of Acanthamoeba species. So take a look at the large nucleus, and you have the large nucleus inside, so centrally located. So again, we also have another micrographs, no? So light micrographs of Acanthamoeba species, no? For both our cyst and of course we have trophozoites. So we have different species, no, of our Acanthamoeba here. And also another scanning and transmission electron micrographs, of course, of our Acanthamoeba species. So we have here the spiny Acanthopodia, and of course we have here the central nga nucleus with the large caryosome inside or in the some, and of course we have the double-walled cyst, and you have that wrinkled no outer cyst or outer wall of the cyst. Okay. So we have different species in here. So we have Acanthamoeba castellanii, and of course we also have Acanthamoeba polyphaga. So here we have our Acanthamoeba species, no, showing the characteristic food cups, no, which the organism actually, no, ginaano ni nila, temporarily, no, nga produce. So this is a temporary structure for our Acanthamoeba species when does the organism actually acquire food from the environment. So may food cup siya nga ginatawag. So here, no, that food cup. Okay, now what about the life cycle of our Acanthamoeba species? So of course, no, so we have that infective stage, which is of course the cyst, and we can find this cyst in, of course, nature. So they are actually ubiquitous in nature. The same is true with our trophozoite. Okay, di ba? They are free-living amoebae. Okay, so this cyst develop into trophozoite. So si trophozoite ma-reproduce, no, and will give rise to several naman nga trophozoites naton, and eventually when the condition becomes unfavorable, the trophozoites will insist, no, so they become cysts, and then this cyst can be acquired by humans. So how? So this can actually enter, no, or acquired by humans in several ways, either through the eye, through the nasal passages, no, and eventually into the respiratory tract, no, specifically the lower respiratory tract, or through ulcerated or broken skin, because they are found almost anywhere, no, in the body, for example. So almost anywhere, no, in the environment, I mean, no. So they are found in bodies of water. So swimming ka da, so you can get the organism, no, and of course through contaminated contact lens solutions, for example. So these can enter the eye. Okay, pwede ka enter sa nasal mucosa. So, kung nag-swimming ka and then ang water, no, nag-enter sa nasal mucosa and then down the respiratory tract, no, lower respiratory tract, and then through ulcerated or broken skin. Okay, so pwede man. And then once inside the body, syempre, no, si cyst, no, exist and develop into trophozoite, and then ma-migrate to the tissue. Okay, so we can find both the cyst and trophozoites in the tissue depending on, of course, no, the characteristic manifestations kung ano ang result, no, of the infection. So, what are the different clinical manifestations, okay, in Acanthamoeba species? So, first we have the GAE or the GAE. So, we call this, this is granulomatous amoebic encephalitis, no, the GAE. So, this was first documented in human in 1972 by Stam from the brain section, no, of a patient. So, this was identified through indirect fluorescence antibody testing. Now, this GAE actually is common in chronically ill or debilitated, no, chronic, no, debilitating diseases. So, those with chronic debilitating diseases, so pwede na nga magkagae or makakause granulomatous amoebic encephalitis once infected by the Acanthamoeba species. So those, of course, also with immune defense mechanism, so impaired, no, immune defense mechanism, so those who are immunocompromised, and those under immunosuppressive therapy because hindi sila immunocompetent, immunocompromised sila. Specifically, okay, those with AIDS na naman, no? So, what are the manifestations? So, manifestations are directly related to the destructive encephalopathy. So, this is, no, inflammation of the brain and the associated meningeal irritation. Okay, so what are the non-specific symptoms? So we have fever, chills, fatigue, weight loss, headache, confusion, somnolence, so sleepy ka, coma, hallucination, and seizures, so which is actually common. So there's focal hemiparesis also, so these are neurologic manifestations. So we have weakening of half of the body, we have cranial nerve palsies, visual disturbances, ataxia, no? Ataxia or loss of coordination, so loss of balance, loss of speech, no, for example, or difficulty, no, in speaking. So we have depending, of course, on the location of the abscess. Okay. So here we have cross-section of cerebral hemisphere showing infection caused by, of course, Acanthamoeba species in no, the brain of humans. Okay. So here we have also a cross-section of the brain showing trophozoites, no? So we have trophozoites of Acanthamoeba species, no? So we have many trophozoites here. Now, one characteristic or important diagnostic feature of infection no, in granulomatous amoebic encephalitis is the presence of a skin lesion, which is known as papilledema. Now, this is a diagnostic, no, an important diagnostic feature of granulomatous amoebic encephalitis. So this is brought about by increased intracranial pressure. So papilledema. So for GAE, the incubation period is 10 days and infection lasts for several days. And these are not the routes of invasion. So primary sites of infection are the skin, no, or skin, no, or lungs. And of course we have, okay, from the skin and the lungs, no, either skin or lungs. From there, diin dayon makadto to the central nervous system via, of course, the circulatory system. So we need to say the organism is spread through blood, okay, either from the skin or from the lungs. So the organism is spread through blood to the central nervous system, causing granulomatous amoebic encephalitis. Second is amoebic keratitis. Now, amoebic keratitis was first diagnosed in 1974 and originally was associated with the use of contact lenses. But, no, di indira, no, ang na-contaminate. No, the one that is contaminated actually is the solution that is used, no, to clean contact lenses. So the cleaning solution, which actually is contaminated. No, that's why causing amoebic keratitis. Now, we also have other predisposing conditions, and of course, these conditions include immunocompromised patients also. Okay, so what are the manifestations, signs, and symptoms? So we have corneal ulceration, we have progressive corneal infiltration and clouding, we have iritis and scleritis, and we have severe pain and hypopyon. Okay, so here we have stromal infiltrate in amoebic keratitis, no? So this one, okay, caused by acanthamoeba. Now, how do we diagnose? Okay, manifestations caused by Acanthamoeba species. Now, for Acanthamoeba encephalitis, usually diagnosis is made only after death, no, in majority of cases. Now, this is sad. Why? Because these are actually the problem nga after death na. So, usually factors that contribute to this are initial lack of suspicion. Okay, so wala na suspect that it's acanthamoeba. Inaccurate early clinical diagnosis. So most likely, wala na diagnosed accurately as acanthamoeba infection. So there is also rapid progression of the illness. So that is why, so dasig mag-progress ang illness before laboratory diagnosis, is finished. So prior to, of course, the release of the results, okay, dasig mag-progress ang ato ang illness. Okay, so that's why not too late na. However, okay, specific diagnosis for acanthamoeba encephalitis includes histopathologic stains. So this is making use of our histopath, and of course we have microscopy, and we make use usually of cerebrospinal fluid, of course, because this is encephalitis. Okay. Now for Acanthamoeba keratitis. Now, for keratitis, usually specimen is epithelial biopsy. So, epithelial tissue. So, making use of biopsy. So, we can make use of histologic analysis again. And however, we can make use also of isolation. So, isolation, usually, ang ginagamit, coming from our specimen, usually comes from lens, contact lens. And isolation also makes it possible for us to identify the specific species or the specific species causing, of course, amoebic keratitis, like for example, so these are the common species of causing acanthamoeba keratitis. So we have Acanthamoeba castillanii, we have Acanthamoeba culbertsoni, we have Acanthamoeba Hodgkii, we also have Acanthamoeba polyphaga and Acanthamoeba rhizoides. So these are the common species associated with Acanthamoeba keratitis or amoebic keratitis. And aside from histologic analysis, isolation, we can also make use of polymerase chain reaction. Now, what about treatment and management of the conditions associated with Acanthamoeba species? So, for Acanthamoeba encephalitis, usually fatal ang outcome in 3 to 40 days after infection. So, however, okay, Acanthamoeba treatment with 5-fluorocytosine, ketoconazole, itraconazole, and pentamidine. So, nag-respond mo siya actually to treatment. For keratitis, previously, ang treatment is surgical excision of the infected cornea or corneal transplantation. Okay, pero now we have multi-drug treatment. So it's a combination of clotrimazole with pentamidine, isethionate, and neosporin. So treatment, so multi-drug treatment. So cocktail siya. And of course, we have avoidance of topical corticosteroid, and usually, okay, surgery is only for advanced cases, not to remove infected tissue. So that's for keratitis. Now, as a distribution of our Acanthamoeba species. So here again, no, we are being reminded kung din sila natin makitaan, they are ubiquitous in nature, those different species of our Acanthamoeba. So they are found in fresh water, sea water, ocean water, frozen swimming water, distribution water, bottled mineral water, industrial cooling water, air conditioners, air, sewage, soil, compost, okay, chlorinated swimming pools, medicinal pools, dental treatment units, gastric lavage tubing, we have dialysis units, and contact lenses. So, common, there is sila, no? Also, isolated from vegetables, mushrooms, cultured cells, fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals. And in humans, they are found in the nasal cavity, the throat, and intestines, no, as well as in infected tissues like the CNS, no, the brain, the lung, the skin wounds, and the cornea. So all this, no, Acanthamoeba species can be found in these different areas, no, and of course, no, parts of the body. So first, diagnosed infections, okay, for Acanthamoeba were confined only to the central nervous system. So this was in 1991. However, we now have sporadic cases of amoebic keratitis from 1970s to early 1980s, and half of this occurred in Europe. So we also have 24 cases in the US in 1986. And since then, we can find amoebic keratitis in Japan, Korea, and South America. And we also have Acanthamoeba stock H1 from cornea, which was isolated from Hamburg, Germany. Okay, so may ara no nga different species in Germany. So in the Philippines, Acanthamoeba keratitis has been subject now of studies in the 1990s. So sa diini siya usually ginastudihan, of course we have the protozoology of the laboratory, protozoology, no, laboratory of the Natural Sciences Research Institute in UP. Okay, so NSRI sa UP. Okay, so ginastudihan na nila since 1990s pa. So here we have transmission electron micrograph of a macrophage, no, cell of the body, which is a phagocytic cell. So infected siya with Acanthamoeba species. Okay. So again, we have scanning and transmission electron micrograph of co-cultures. So this time, no, we have co-cultures of our Acanthamoeba species, not together with the rest, with other microorganisms, particularly bacteria. So here we have Legionella pneumophila. Okay. So engulf yagid. So ginastudihan, no, ang significance of the bacterial endosymbiont in Acanthamoeba species. So here we have Helicobacter pylori inside Acanthamoeba species. Okay, so second pick naton. So here we can see, no, Acanthamoeba releasing our bacteria. So, ginarelease yun na, no? From the inside of the Acanthamoeba, ginarelease siya outside ang bacteria. Okay. And here we also have an Acanthamoeba, no, with Pseudomonas aeruginosa inside. Okay, so most likely there's a significance to this, no? So kung may ara na siya nga daan from the outside, so this can bring actually, no, pathogenic microorganisms inside the body. So as to prevention and control, so it is very difficult, no, to prevent human exposure because of course, no, Acanthamoeba species are almost everywhere. So ano na lang himuon naton? So more, no, hygienic practices to prevent infection. So what else? Boiling water, no, can kill actually trophozoites and cysts. So cleaning should be done with mask, no, to prevent infection, of course, because they are also found in dust. And of course, contact lens wearers, no, are advised to disinfect their lenses regularly, no, to prevent amoebic keratitis, of course. So guys, that ends Acanthamoeba species. Now let's go to another pathogenic free-living amoeba, And this is the Naegleria species. Okay. Now, what about our Naegleria species? So, Naegleria are also free-living, no? But they are amoeboflagellate. What do we mean by amoeboflagellate? So, we both have the pseudopodia and of course the flagella, no, as organelle of locomotion. So we both have the trophozoite nga stage and a flagellate nga stage, no, for our Naegleria species. So this, in other words, we have no three developmental stages nga that we can find no in this species of pathogenic free living naton nga parasite. So we have a trophozoite stage na which can transform reversibly into non-productive flagellate nga stage or a resistant nga cyst. So again, si trophozoite pwede ka transform into a flagellate nga stage, no? Which can reversibly no transform back into trophozoite stage, or pwede man si trophozoite ka transform into the cystic stage. Okay, so we have two species of our Naegleria. We have the non-pathogenic species, which is the Naegleria gruberi. So this is the most commonly studied Naegleria, no? And of course, we have the pathogenic one. So, and we call this the Naegleria fowleri. Now, N. fowleri is responsible for the meningoencephalitis, no, caused by Naegleria species, specifically Naegleria fowleri, both in humans and animals, no, specifically mice. Now, this species, no, Naegleria fowleri and Naegleria gruberi, can be distinguished through cell morphology, culture medium preference, no, kung di sila nagtubo, temperature tolerance, lectin sensitivity, isoenzyme pattern, DNA restriction patterns, mouse pathogenicity, the severity of disease, not that they can cause in mice, and of course we have serological tests, no, or serology. So these are the different naton nga techniques, no, or the different criteria in which we can differentiate the non-pathogenic from the pathogenic naton nga Naegleria species. Now, in the Philippines, we have a unique man nga Naegleria species, no, and we call this the Naegleria philippinensis. Now, Naegleria philippinensis is indistinguishable from the rest of our Naegleria species as to morphology. So, meaning to say, sa tsura, puro pareho gid siya, no, with the rest of the known species of Naegleria. However, N. philippinensis, no, has distinct biochemical characteristics. So as to biochemistry, distinct si N. philippinensis. So this can differentiate N. philippinensis from the rest of the known species of Naegleria. Now, let's take a look at the morphology of the trophozoite now of N. philippinensis. So here we have a characteristic lobose monopseudopodium. So isa lang, no, ka-pseudopodium. A very prominent nucleus with a centrally located nucleolus. And the trophozoite, no, forms a pair of flagella originating from the tip of a pear-shaped cell body. Okay, so pear-shaped ang iyang cell body, so dasig, no, mag-form ang pair of flagella from the trophozoite. Now, in nature, no, N. fowleri, okay, si pathogenic nga Acanthamoeba species, dasig ni siya mag-transform also into an amoeba nga an amoeba from an amoeba, no, into a flagellated nga organism. Now, what is actually responsible? What is no the reason for this transformation, no, from amoeba to or trophozoite into the flagellate? Now, this actually purpose is actually for rapid movement, no? So rapid movement of the organism toward the source of food. So para dasig niya makwa ang food or ma-engulf ang food, no? So amo nang purpose wag transform siya into flagellate. Now the transformation takes place kuno within a period of 2 to 3 hours or up to 3 to 4 days. Okay. So here guys, no? So we have a trophozoite and then we also have flagellate, no? okay, of N. fowleri. So we have here trophozoite, no, of N. fowleri. And this one, so here, no, so this is a transformation, no, transformation. So ginstudihan gid nila, no, ang Naegleria fowleri. Okay, nag-transform siya. So, sorry, this is Naegleria gruberi. So, nag-transform siya, no, from a trophozoite stage. So, we have the pseudopodium. Okay, trophozoite transform eventually into a flagellate. So, flagellated na siya nga stage. So, this is iodine stained, no? So, this is iodine stained, Lugol's iodine. And below, we have a fluorescent antibody staining technique. Okay, so that is why nag-fluorescent, no? So dark ang aton nga background. So you can see here clearly the flagella, no? So a pair of flagella arising from the body of the organism. So anong purpose again? For rapid nga movement toward the source of food. So here we have an illustration of our trophozoite. Okay, transforming into cyst, no? So cyst, eventually, paligid, mag-transform na naman what? Into trophozoite. Ma-exist siya into trophozoite. And then, eventually, paligid, no? Maka-transform si trophozoite into the flagellated form. And, okay, so we have here, no? A pair of flagella. And this flagellated form, no? Can reversely transform back into its amoeboid trophozoite nga stage. Okay? So, pwede makabalik sa trophozoite nga stage. Okay, now as to life cycle, very simple man, no? Ang life cycle of our Naegleria species. Now, the same with our Acanthamoeba. So, they are found, no? In the environment. So, we have both the cyst, no? And of course, we have the trophozoite stage here, which can transform into, of course, our flagellated form. And this, no, the trophozoite and the cyst actually can be acquired by man from the environment. So, for example, water-related activities like swimming, no, swimming underwater, diving, water sports, no, can actually, okay, so pwede makatransmit, no, sang cyst or trophozoite from the environment. So, pwede nga ang amoebae na to ma-penetrate, no, sang aton nga nasal cavity. And then, eventually, no, ko'y makakadto sa diin, okay, sa brain via, of course, the olfactory nerves, no? And eventually, the end result of this is what we call the PAM, or the primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. So that's the condition associated with Naegleria species. No, specifically, of course, Naegleria fowleri, because most of our Naegleria species are non-pathogenic. So except, of course, for Naegleria fowleri. So here we can find the trophozoites in the cerebrospinal fluid, and of course in the brain tissue. And we can also sometimes, no, see flagellated form, no, the flagellated form also in the CSF. So infective stage, of course, we have the trophozoite, we have the cyst, and the diagnostic stage, of course, no, are the cyst also and the trophozoite, no, in the tissue. So most of the time, it's more of our trophozoite, because the trophozoite is the one that is the invasive stage. So here we have the manifestations associated with Naegleria species. So we have gastritis, diarrhea, and of course we have primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. So we can acquire the infection through oral route. We have intranasal route through swimming, of course, in contaminated pools, lakes, and waters or rivers. And of course, we have inhalation of dust-borne cyst, no, in arid regions. So in areas nga dry, no, ang condition. So pwede through dust. Okay. So the pathogenic species, and I am referring, of course, to specifically to N. fowleri, so can survive in elevated temperatures of up to 46 degrees centigrade, just like in geothermal plant effluents. And these effluents can eventually find their way in streams and rivers, of course. So this can contaminate our rivers now with the pathogenic naton nga Naegleria species. So species can also survive in up to 0.5 microgram per ml of hyperchlorinated water. So this is the one nga makita naton sa nga ginabutang sa swimming pool kag drinking water. So that is why pwede di sila makasurvive and can contaminate swimming pool and drinking water. So dapat taas ang concentration of our chlorine. Now, as to pathogenicity of the Philippine isolates, and that is Naegleria philippinensis, so this was evaluated by Simeon et al. In 1990 using 3 to 4 weeks nga mice. Now, we have the strain from the National Science Research Institute, and of course, we have the RITM, which is the Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. So, we have different strains in here. And the NSRI nga strain is actually not lethal at 10 to the 5th. So meaning to say dapat pataasan pagid for it to be pathogenic or lethal ang iyang dose. RITM nga strain has actually very low mortality rate. So for both, we have massive nga doses at 10 to the 6th to 10 to the 7th amoebae per mouse inoculated intranasally could successfully establish amoeba infection in the brain and can cause death within 2 to 6 days. So in other words, the lethal dose for both is at 10 to the 6th to 10 to the 7th. So this can now establish infection of N. philippinensis in the brain, and the patient may die within 2 to 6 days. So that's in mice, studies pa lang naya in mice, of course. Now, as to clinical manifestations, we have the following symptoms of primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. Of course, we have fever, headache, vomiting, signs of meningeal irritation and encephalitis with rapid progression to coma and death. So as to CSF findings, we can see pleocytosis with high percentage of polymorphonuclear cells. So pleocytosis is elevation of our leukocyte count. So elevated leukocyte count and more of our neutrophils, kung mag-differential count kita, mas damo si neutrophils. And of course, there's hypoglycorrhea or decrease in glucose, but elevated ang protein. So that's usually the findings in CSF when it comes to primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. So previously, the basis of diagnosis is based on the findings, of course, of trophozoites in the brain and the CSF. Okay, so aspirates from here, okay, actually are introduced into bacteria-seeded agar culture medium. And then after that, after 24 hours, you can see now trophozoites with blunt lubopseudopodia with directional motility. Okay, so that's isolation. Now, however, so that's previous nga diagnosis. However, recent studies or recent diagnosis for PAM is now making use of flagellation. Okay, so stimulate mo ang flagellation. If negative, wala siya nag-form sang flagellated nga form, then we can report it as Naegleria species only. And that is according to Bennett in 2003. Now we can also make use two other techniques to specifically test or check for Naegleria fowleri. So we can make use of PCR and ELISA or ELISA if we want to check for Naegleria fowleri. So again, polymerase chain reaction and enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. So these are tests which are specific for Naegleria fowleri. Now, as to treatment, we have amphotericin B, which is the drug of choice. But we can also make use of other drugs or therapeutic agents like clotrimazole, trimethoprim. So, depende, no? Okay? And of course, we have also tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, tetrahydrocannabinol is marijuana. So this is kuno, this inhibits actually growth no of N. fowleri at 25 to 50 micrograms per ml. So this prevents inflagellation, so development of flagella, and of course encystment also. Pero it does not affect amoeboid movement. So ara lang gyapon si trophozoite. We have also azithromycin, no, as an additional na therapy for PAM. Now, this here we have no substances which can kill actually no both trophozoites and of course we have cyst of N. fowleri. So we have free chlorine at 5 micrograms per ml. So this easily kills N. fowleri cyst. However, lower lang ang dose no, for the trophozoites. We also have elemental iodine at higher dosage, so higher than 3.4 microgram per ml, which is cysticidal also. And we have several disinfectants also here, no, which possess amoebicidal properties. Now, for N-Gruberry cyst, no, we have cyanuric acid. No? So these are the characteristics no, of N. fowleri. Okay, so it does not tolerate temperatures higher than 100 degrees centigrade. So kung gusto siya i-kill, dapat we need to boil no water at higher than 100 degrees pa, no? So several minutes at 100 degrees centigrade. So at temperatures also lower than 65 degrees centigrade. So nakatolerate siya no, ang higher temperatures. So growth is inhibited by 0.2% NaCl and potassium chloride. Calcium chloride stimulates encystment. So drying is lethal to trophozoites. Okay, but cyst can remain viable, of course, no, if rehydrated within 23 months. So cysts are rendered non-viable by lyophilation, but N-Gruberry cysts remain viable after 6 months in lyophilized state. Okay, so kung ikwaon mo water, hindi na siyang inviable. Okay, ang cyst. So here, guys, we can find Naegleria no, in chlorinated swimming pools, freshwater lakes, thermal springs, domestic water supplies, thermally polluted water, sewage, soil, air, humidifier systems, cell cultures, and human throat and nasal cavities. No? So this is where we can find no, our Naegleria. So the soil is the preferred habitat because it can provide a source of oxygen, water, temperatures compatible with survival, and bacterial food supply. So, namian din sila sa soil. So, runoff from heavy rains results in introduction of amoebae from soil into lakes and ponds because they are, okay, most of the time found in, okay, they are found in soil. So, amoebae are isolated from water samples by centrifugation and filtration, and most often isolated from okay, thermal effluents at springs and water with naturally or artificially elevated temperatures. So water contaminated with coliform bacteria show concomitantly a preponderance of amoeba because remember, okay, food ni nila si coliform bacteria, ang gram-negative bacteria naton. Now we also have no a pathogenic nga pathogenic to mice, no, which was isolated in Australia, a strain of Naegleria. So it was named N. australiensis. And we have a subspecies, no, that is Italica, which was isolated in Europe. The same species with the Australia. So in Virginia, we have epidemic na in humans of PAM in 1951 to 1952. So this is just epidemiology. And also, we have cases in South Australia in 1965. We have 1966 in Texas, of course, and we have Florida in 1968. Okay, so very old na, no? Si Naegleria fowleri. So in the Philippines, the amoeba can be isolated from moist soil and freshwater habitats, as well as from thermally polluted rivers, whether natural or industrial. So Naegleria is widespread, no? The same as with Acanthamoeba. So, no known means of prevention and control, no, for Naegleria infection. So, ano na lang ang himuon? To decrease possibility of infection, avoid diving into and swimming in warm and stagnant water, freshwater pools, water discharge pools, unchlorinated, poorly maintained swimming pools, or mud-lined, no, lakes and ponds. Okay. So, hindi maligo sa diin lang. Now, Naegleria philippinensis is also prevalent in all forms of habitats such as water, soil, and air, but have not resulted in any significant level of disease in humans. So this is good news, no? So far, we only have one suspected case of PAM, or primary amoebic meningoencephalitis, and that is from a boy with recent history of swimming. However, disease is controlled by amphotericin B. So this is good news. Okay. So here we have a differentiation of Naegleria and Acanthamoeba with Entamoeba. Okay. So as to nucleus, nucleolus, we have large and distinct for our Naegleria and Acanthamoeba. We have small and indistinct for our E. histolytica. We have contractile vacuoles present in both Naegleria and Acanthamoeba, absent in Entamoeba. We also have single nucleus in cyst of Naegleria and Acanthamoeba, and we have 4 in E. histolytica. So there's no glycogen and chromatoid body in Acanthamoeba and Naegleria. However, we have glycogen and chromatoid bodies in cyst of Entamoeba, and there is also mitochondria. And there's no mitochondria. Sorry. So there's no mitochondria in Entamoeba. Next, differentiating points between Naegleria and Acanthamoeba. So here, trophozoite displays broad pseudopodia, but we have filamentous pseudopods. We call Acanthopodia in Acanthamoeba. We have active motility for Naegleria, sluggish for Acanthamoeba. We also have flagellate stage, for Naegleria, and we do not have a flagellate stage or form in Acanthamoeba. Now, cyst is thin-walled for Naegleria. We have a double-walled cyst in Acanthamoeba. Okay, the cyst wall has no pores in Naegleria, but we have pores. Now we call ostules in Naegleria. And we have, Acanthamoeba does not insist in tissue. However, Naegleria does not insist in tissues, but Acanthamoeba may insist in tissues. Okay? So please take note of these differentiating points between Naegleria and Acanthamoeba. So that's it for me, guys, for now. We will continue with the ciliates and the flagellates later. So thank you so much, everyone.